Hi guys, as you can see, it is time for me to retighten my hair. Should you or should you learn to retighten your hair? Let's think about that. Is there any pros, any cons? Yes, there's always pros and cons to everything. Now, I'm going to tell you how I ended up taking the class. As you all know, initially, I was not a consultant. I was just giving advice on YouTube on how I maintained my hair over the years. And then towards the end, in the past recent years, I became a consultant. But at first, I was a self-retightener. See, I had a wedding to go to, and I had not seen these people, which were friends, family. I'm going to say family, friends, family. Why? My parents, these friends of mine, their parents and my parents were friends and grew up together. Now, my grandparents and my friends' grandparents grew up together. So fast forward 2 generations later, and I'm attending a wedding, and I need to look nice. I need to look together because it's been 10 years since I've been seen. And you know you have to represent, right? And see, the funny thing is I was in, or, I'm going to say I was in because now it's not the same anymore. I was in an environment that did not respect or find the beauty in locks. It was associated with people who were homeless. It was also an idea that you were Rasta affiliated. So here I am flying in out of town to go to this wedding, had my nice dress and everything, and my hair, it was sort of a hot mess. They didn't know to what extent, but I knew it was a hot mess. Did I feel comfortable in my skin? No. Did I still have a good time? To a certain extent, yes, I did. It was fun reconnecting with people. Why couldn't I get my hair done? Because my consultant did not have any availability. And I was 6 to 8 months into my journey already. So I had all these tiny little plaits. So we're past the picky stage, right? And, the hair started to fluff up. But now I have an afro underneath these fine plaits or fine locks. So I went down there with an afro. It was a lot higher. It was like this much hair because I was 3 months out. It was a challenge to get to her. She was a consultant. She did not do this full time. She worked the evenings and the weekend. And it would take me an hour and a half to drive up to that part. This was Olney, Maryland. Drive up to Olney, Maryland, and then drive back home. Was it worth it? Yes. When I got my hair retightened, it was pretty good. I enjoyed the look. When you freshly retighten your hair lies down flat and smooth. This is past the picky stage where it looks sparse. But when it starts to fill in, it really starts to look good. And then you want to get your hair retightened on a regular because your hair, it lays smoothly. You can style it a lot more. It looks more streamlined. All right. So I returned from my trip, and the first thing on my mind the whole entire time was, I have to learn how to retighten my hair. I have to learn to retighten my hair. I have to learn to retighten my hair. It's one thing. We've come such a long way with endorsing natural hair. And now we have a system that works. It could be Sisterlocks, it can be traditional locks, it could be interlock. It doesn't matter. We now have a system that endorses our hair texture and we feel good. We feel sexy. We feel sophisticated in it. But there's a gatekeeper. That's the part that makes it so interesting. So now you have a gatekeeper that determines whether you are on point with your beauty grooming or not on point with your beauty grooming. There are pros and cons to self-retightening. You will build an intimate relationship with your hair. You'll start to notice the trends. You'll start to notice when your hair is drier, when it's sweatier, when it has scalp issues, when it's more flaky, when it's pristine, clean, and not a problem. You'll see how your hair adjusts during the seasons. You can also determine the tension for those who have a tender scalp. You will determine how tight or how loose you will make your interlocking in order to provide comfort. You will determine how often you will retighten your hair. You will know the sweet spot. Different seasons require different cycles of time to retighten. You can retighten your hair on your own schedule, and you will save money. Also, as you become more intimate, you'll start to notice there are certain locks on your scalp that are more fragile than others and might need to be tended to sooner than the bulk of your locks, the rest of your locks. What are the cons? The cons is you have to train yourself to become disciplined in retightening your hair on a schedule. If you do not stick to that schedule, your hair, the new growth will accumulate, the hair can start meshing and combining, and then we have a problem. Then you'll have to weed your locks. You'd have to separate your locks, pop your locks, reestablish lines. When your workload gets way over, you're going to have to go to a consultant because they have a bird's eye view in order to do that. And understand that is not a regular retightening fee. People sometimes let their hair go, and then they pop up at their consultant and they're thinking, oh, well, yeah, I retighten my hair and it's 6 weeks. It's just a little over. Come to find out, now your consultant knows by how many rotations she does on your locks. So understand that when you do pop up to your consultant, they're going to know the difference of how often you are retightening. It is required that you go to your consult twice a year. Understand it's going to be a slight learning curve. You're not going to get this overnight unless you happen to be a great crochet or knitting artist. Now, in order to be eligible to take the Sisterlock retightening class, this is just the retightening class only, you have to have Sisterlocks. You have to have Sisterlocks for at least 6 months, and you should not be experiencing any slipping whatsoever. So, next you have to know your consultant's name. Sometimes you may have had your locks for years and your consultant is not on the registry anymore, or they're on, off, it doesn't matter. You have to have your consultant's name. And if you do not, I repeat, I know I said this earlier, but I'll repeat it again. If you have other types of locks, you cannot take the Sisterlock retightening class only. That means to only retighten Sisterlocks. If you want to know how to do Sisterlocks and you don't have Sisterlocks, you're going to have to take the consultant training. That's the whole 4-day training. That's something totally different than the half a day to just learn how to retighten your hair. The whole point of getting Sisterlocks is to feel empowered, to feel beautiful, to feel free. Free in the nap, the coil, the kink, and the wave. However, there isn't true empowerment if you have to rely on someone solely in order to feel your best when groomed. Is it a good idea to take the class? Yes, it's a great idea to take the class. You have no idea how life will unfold. There will be situations where you will not be able to get into your consultant's chair. I am highly biased about taking the Sisterlock's self-retightening class because it's not only because I teach the self-retightening classes, it's because when I started my journey, after 6 to 8 months, and due to that incident, I took the reins in my hands. I became empowered. I knew that I could count on me, that in case anything happened, I could show up to this function and look my best. If I show up to a function and you see my hair is not pristine and on point, that's because I didn't want to do it. I was too tired. That's a whole totally different story. I'm still empowered, but I have the option to make the choice. It is not by default. I offer the classes in Maryland and in New York. So those of you who are interested in taking the Sisterlock self-retightening class, information is below in the description box. This is your journey. You have the right and the power to control as much of it as possible. Trust your beauty and own it. Peace.